Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Erik Alpizar-Reyes. I am an assistant professor at Universidad del Bío-Bío in Chile. Today, I will present our research on plant spore-based microcapsules for asphalt self-healing. Let me start with a brief context about Chile. Chile is a truly natural laboratory. This country extends 4,300 kilometers lineally, beginning from the Atacama Desert to the Patagonian glaciers. Chile is one of the most seismically active countries in the world, so this places enormous stress on our infrastructure because our roads must endure not only traffic loads and climate, they must also withstand seismic activity. On another hand, the University of Bío-Bío is located at the Bío-Bío region. This is Chile's biomass hub. We have extensive forest resources and abundant renewable materials. So on this university, we transform regional biomass into advanced materials. Now let's talk about the problem. As we know, asphalt concrete covers 86% of roads in the Chile and 94% in the USA and 90% in Europe. The cracking occurs at microscale because bitumen agent. This phenomena is due to a chemical reaction due to the presence of the oxygen which attack the aromatic molecules. This is named as oxidation. The aromatics convert into resins and the resins convert into asphaltenes. The asphaltene content increases and the aromatic content decreases. So the balance is lost and the bitumen becomes brittle and micro cracks appear. To solve this problem, the use of rejuvenating agents is a good solution. These materials can be softening agents or rejuvenators, such as vegetable oils. The key question here is the delivery. How do we get the rejuvenator to the crack? There are three delivery mechanisms. First, surface application. This is like applying a coating. Second, polymeric fibers embed in the asphalt. And finally, bioinspired microcapsules. The microcapsule sits in the H bitumen. When a microcrack appears, the capsule releases the rejuvenator. So the rejuvenator fills the crack and self-healing occurs. So what is the solution? Self-healing asphalt using bio-inspired microcapsules. Let's take a brief look inside biomimetics. Biomimetics means learning from nature. Think about how plants protect their genetic material to reproduce by itself. They use pollen or spores. These spores survive extreme conditions, heat, cold, mechanical stress, UV radiation. Let me ask you another question. Think about the human body. When you cut yourself, your skin, what happens? Your body heals itself. Cells migrate to the wound, new tissue forms, and the cut closes. But sometimes we need help. We need doctors. Doctors clean the wound, they apply medicine, they create the right conditions for healing. So, can we be the doctors for asphalt pavements? This is a question that inspired this research. Nature shows that self-healing is possible. So, can we use nature's protection system for infrastructure? Can we design microcapsules that act like medicine for aged asphalt? This slide shows the Lycopodium plant. This is a vascular plant that reproduces throughout sporulation or the formation of spores. Now there is something remarkable. Sporopollenin is one of the nature's more resistant biomaterials. Some papers have found intact spores in fossil records. Some are millions of years old, and the structure of sporopollenin remains unchanged. The chemical properties are preserved. These properties make the sporopollenin ideal for synthesizing capsules for harsh environments, like asphalt production. Uh, Throughout chemical treatments, we can remove the biomolecules such as lipids and proteins inside the sporopollenin and obtain a core empty and ready for loading. Finally, we fill it with sunflower oil and we can create a spore microcapsule. So this capsule encounters a crack and capillary forces trigger release throughout nanochannels. The rejuvenator fills the crack and chemical restoration begins. How do we prepare these spores? We use a three-stage process. On the stage one, we extract the lipids using a suchled apparatus with any extent. On the second stage, we eliminate the proteins and genetic materials, also allergenic materials, using orthophosphoric acid. And finally, we wash with some solvents and dry. This process gives us clean and empty sporopollenin capsules. Now, what did we find? Look at the color changes on the slide. The color darkens with longer treatment, from light brown to dark brown. This color change is chemical significant. Orthophosphoric acid hydrolyzes peptide bonds in proteins. It breaks down polysaccharides like cellulose. The longer the time of contact, the more complete the hydrolysis becomes, and more biomolecules are removed. But there is a trade-off. At some point, the acid begins attacking the sporopollenin structure by itself. The aromatic crosslinks can break, and structural integrity is compromised. So, what is the optimal balance between time of acidolysis and structural integrity on the spores? We use fluorescence microscopy to analyze this effect. Natural spores show strong autofluorescence. This means that they contain biomolecules. After 6 hours of acidolysis, we can see that the spores are clean because the autofluorescence is gone. Similar effect we can see at 12 hours, but at 24 hours, the spores are broken. We can identify some broken spores. So 12 hours is acceptable, but the best quantity in order to optimize the time was 6 hours for this case. We confirm this with FTIR microscopy. If we look at this peak at 3,350, we can see the presence of, of lipids via OH links, and then they disappeared. Also, we can see this region. On this region, we can say that we can see the sporopollenin structure remains intact. So we can confirm that we remove the contents and we are able to keep the container, in this case sporopollenin, from the spores. Now let's look at the final spore encapsulants in detail. The ECM image show structural details. We can see that treated spores have the presence of nanochannels. Also, we can see the formation of empty core, and we can see that the nanochannels connect to the surface with the internal cavity. Also, on thermal analysis, the TGA shows that both natural and treated spores are stable up to 200 degrees Celsius, and this is confirmed by the SC pattern. And finally, the size distribution and sphericity allows to say that we are able to synthesize sporopollenin uniform in size and almost spherical. So this characterization confirms that we are able to obtain robust and thermally stable encapsulants. Then we tested three encapsulation methods: vacuum encapsulation, passive encapsulation, and centrifugal encapsulation, and evaluated the performance factors of these three systems. On this case, surface oil is not desirable because the it causes aggregation and it wastes the rejuvenator. So on this case, on surface oil, less is better. Encapsulation efficiency tells the real story. This efficiency measures oil inside versus oil outside. Higher is better on this case. The same occurs on payload. More payload means more healing capacity. If we see the release profiles, this is critical for understanding the controlled release application. The, the release follows diffusion kinetics. On the first 5 minutes, we see we we see a rapid initial release, and then between 5 and like 30 minutes sustained release. After 30 minutes, the release plateaus, so the driving force decreases. Also, vacuum encapsulation showed the most controlled profile. The cumulative release is gradual, is not a burst. From a controlled release perspective, vacuum encapsulation provides some advantages. So this is exactly what we need for asphalt self-healing. The capsules must survive mixing, and they must release gradually when cracks appears. They must not leak prematurely. So we selected vacuum encapsulation for all further tests. Fluorescence microscopy confirms that successful encapsulation was achieved on the three techniques that we tested. So, can these capsules survive asphalt production? We analyzed three samples: sunflower oil alone, treated spores, and spore microcapsules. On the TGA, we found that these kind of capsules are able to survive asphalt mixing temperature, which is approximately on 160 degrees. So they are stable upon 250 degrees Celsius. So they are survive. The DSCC is more interesting because sunflower oil oxidize 183 degrees Celsius, but when encapsulated, the peak shift to 204 degrees Celsius. This means that spores protect the oil from oxidation. They increase the thermal stability by 21 degrees. This is perfect for our application. Finally, becomes a proof of concept. We created an artificial microcrack in H-bitumen, and the results that we found were awesome. We found that after 50 minutes, 100% of the cracked bitumen was healed. We found a complete closure. The healing efficiency curve shows 4 stages. On this stage, the oil on surface is released. On this stage, The oil is going through capillary force through the nanochannels of the sporopollenin, and on this stage is when the rejuvenator penetrates the H bitumen, and finally occurs the chemical restorations. We can confirm this analyzing the SARA fraction restoration, saturates, aromatics, resins, and asphaltins. I will be brief for for the time, but if we see the aromatics presence on virgin bitumen, they are most of 50%. When the bitumen is oxidized on H bitumen, they reduce mostly at the half. And when we apply this technology, they almost restore it to values similar to the beginning. So, uh, so, so we can say that from a chemical perspective, we have reversed the aging process, and we have restored the molecular balance, and the bitumen was functionally regenerated. So let's enjoy. Let me show you the complete process in motion. As you can see, the spores, microcapsules, release the rejuvenator. The crack closes progressively, and the bitumen is restored after 50 minutes. Uh, this is another nice video. So at this point, this could be a viable technology for real world application, but there is a long road yet to achieve that. We cannot do science in isolation. This research demonstrates the necessity of multidisciplinary approaches. We need chemical engineering for encapsulation process, material science for characterization, civil engineering for asphalt applications, nanotechnology for understanding transport through nanochannels, colloid science for dispersed systems, and also we need key partners in industry, regulatory bodies who can help with developing standards and protocols. We need from the government agencies because they have the money, and this ecosystem of collaboration is essential. So the next steps are field trials, LCA, economic, scale up, and integration of the technology. Um, so there is a long way to go, but we keep on working on that. Finally, thank you for your attention. I want to thank also to the team behind this research at Universidad Bío-Bío and our collaborators in Swansea University and King College in London. This work was supported by Chilean government throughout Fondesit project. Finally, I'm happy to answer your questions, and you can also contact me at the email shown on the slide. So thank you very much for your attention.